Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked. I am joined by my colleague James Kearney. James Kearney, who is supporting is wearing a River Plate top. Very, very nice, James. Very nice.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's well, actually, as a gift from my stepdad because he went away to Buenos Aires, and I really wanted a Boca Juniors top, but he didn't have any in my size. He couldn't find one for love their money. So then he was like, "Well, I River Plate one do," and I was like, "Still pretty cool." Yeah, go on,
it's yeah. Either or are pretty cool, but no, Boca Juniors, yeah, I can understand why you would have preferred that. We're not here to talk about Argentinian football. We're here to talk about Heart of Midlothian because Steven Naismith's men sit pretty in third in the Premiership at the winter break, having won 2-1 at Livingston on Tuesday afternoon. Hearts now hold a 5-point lead over Kilmarnock in third. It was the 7th away win from Hearts. They have, since the 91-92 season, I think it's only, I've been writing it today, there's only four seasons where Hearts have won more than 7 away games in the top flight since then. So it is quite remarkable. It shouldn't be remarkable, but at the moment it is. So we are going to look back at the game from I was going to call Amityville, the Tony Macaroni Arena. James, we'll dissect it in little bits, but I've watched the majority of the game back. You've watched the whole of the game back ahead of an analysis piece of what on the site tomorrow. Just briefly before we kind of break it down, what were your general thoughts on watching it back? Did anything really change your mind from the first watch of it yesterday?
To be honest, I thought that Livy actually weren't maybe as good as I thought they were the second time.
Same.
Yeah, it seemed a lot cagier and a lot more nervy on the day. But watching it back the second time around, it's okay. Yeah, Livy have get the ball in good areas a lot of the time. But I mean, by half time, I think they had 3 shots on goal and they were all off target. Obviously, there was a disallowed goal as well, which, of course, marginal could have easily gone in. But yeah, I don't think it was maybe quite as like Jekyll and Hyde as we perhaps thought at first, where I think when we were doing the match at the time, we thought like, oh god, this really isn't great at all. And don't know, Hearts weren't particularly good in the first half, but they did improve at the break. They got that 2-goal cushion, and after that, it was a long way back for Livy.
Yeah, I thought watching it, I was like, we didn't start well. And then I just thought miles off it in the first half. But then on rewatching it and like kind of skipping through, I thought certainly the first 20 minutes, Hearts started really, really badly. And Livingston did what it was kind of old school Livingston. They got about you. They were direct. They made it very difficult. They scrapped. But then they actually didn't have that much quality in the final third, like I said. So they had Oblai header, which was a great save from Xander Clark, but that would have been ruled off for offside because there's 2 Livy players in front of Xander Clark. And then you had the offside goal from Curtis Guthrie. Again, that was very, very close, but I think he obviously was just offside. And then after half an hour, I thought Hearts kind of finally settled and started to probe without looking that great. And then there was just like almost like a change. At halftime came a good time, and then able to step it up after the break with a couple of really good couple of performances and goals.
No, absolutely. You know, because I think that's the point. The main point is that I think in the first half in particular, Hearts really struggled to get outside their own half. Whoever the man in the ball was, they're always just getting pressed relentlessly. Like Livy were just absolutely chucking bodies at Hearts, and Hearts couldn't really get out. You know, things like things like a switch from like one wing to the other wing, which can kind of free up space with the wing backs. That wasn't really happening. There's the odd ball long, but it wasn't really paying off. I think, you know, aside from there's one moment, maybe about 20 minutes or so in, when Alan Forrest looked as if he was just skipped in behind. I think it was Mikey Devlin gets like a last gasp kind of tackle on him. That was probably the closest Hearts came to threatening. Obviously, Shanklin did hit the bar as well, of course, but that was the second phase of a corner kick, you know. And while he did brilliantly, it wasn't a particularly high XG chance. I remember looking at it, and I think it was something like 0.03, which, you know, for the stats nerds out there, that's not a lot.
But it showed Shanklin's quality, his ability to turn very little into a lot.
Oh, exactly. No, he took it brilliantly, and he was really unlucky. I mean, he caught it pretty much perfectly in terms of just getting that glance on it, that angle on it, good bit of direction and pace, but just didn't quite come off. But then I think in the second half, though, Hearts definitely were helped by the fact that Livy, maybe it was a tiredness thing, maybe just maybe you can't play that way for 90 minutes, but they weren't pressing quite as high up the park anymore. I mean, it wasn't that same intensity. All of a sudden, defenders were getting some time on the ball whenever Hearts were playing out from the back. And then that's when we started to see those little gaps opening up, because I think Livy's game plan was basically just, let's keep the ball in incredibly congested spaces and we'll win the second ball. That's what we're going to do to get up the park.
Yeah.
Also, there's a clear target in Penrice as well, who was looking really good on the left-hand side. Lots of really good deliveries into the box. But basically, I think that because the way that the pitch was, I think the way the weather was as well, it was one of those days where basically Hearts boys couldn't really get their foot on the ball and start playing it. Like, I think there's a reason that Alan Forrest really stood out, and I'm not sure we're going to talk about him, but there's a reason that he stood out more than anyone else. He's played God knows how many games on that pitch. He looks like he could play football, and everyone else was always just kind of, like lurching after the ball. It looks as if no one is really under control. Things weren't quite paying off. But as soon as Hearts when the second half kicked off, and then there was a little bit more time at the back, all of a sudden, then at those points, Hearts were able to find that little bit of space, have that little bit of time in the ball, pick their next pass, rather than just flinging themselves after it, just try to keep hold of it, come what may. And then that's when those little gaps started appearing, and when those little gaps started appearing, that's when the chances came. So I think it was one of those games where we were just basically trying to restrict the space, keep it chaotic, and Hearts in the first half didn't really cope with that at all. But in the second, they opened up those little pockets, and creating those little pockets of space, that's what changed the game.
It was as soon as Steven Naismith sat down, someone asked him a question. He basically just said, "Let's get it out there to begin with. The pitch is rubbish." And the way he spoke he's just got his quotes up here. It's basically, I'm really pleased with it. The pitch was rubbish. It's always going to be. I'm really pleased with the performance. It's not a pitch you're going to get any good football on. It's a battle in these games. If you let the ball bounce, you're in trouble defensively. And also the timing of your runs are most important. And they went on to talk about, you work every day about the main things you want to be as a team. You can get sucked in the same, but we do this. But when you play on pitches like this, it's not worth the risk. So that was, I think you could see it in certain elements of Hearts play where, especially Kent, he just got the ball, and Halkett as well. They would just look for Vargas in behind or kind of runs in behind. And you look at some of the comments we got here. So you've got, I think Liam sums it up best. Any Hearts fan turning in for a performance at Livingston is mental. It's a dogfight, not just against the players, but the pitch as well. Hearts handled them very well, to be fair. And that's what I cut a very anguished figure at times in the press box in the opening half an hour, just because I thought we were quite slow to start. Just in terms of the ball possession, but I actually thought the reaction to how the game was happening around players. Like there was a moment where Sibic was probably the player that was most guilty of it. That he was kind of wasn't awake or aware to what was happening around him. There was one where Kent was following a runner, and Sibic, rather than Sibic go and press the ball, he tried to follow the runner as well. And then you had the moment for the goal, which or the offside goal, where Livy took a throw in and they got a really simple 2v1, clipped into the box, and it was a header. So I think that proved to be a big wake up call, because the players I don't think they were. They didn't match Livingston's intensity and willingness for the battle and the scrap to begin with, but they did eventually do that. And I think that's what we talked about, the Civic's rustiness, Haring's rustiness, and William says Haring done exactly what was asked to: win headers, fight for second balls, game past Hoff by. Kind of, I agree with that. I think Haring came into it. Neuenhoff had his moments, but frustrated at times. But when they decided, like, let's not try and play passes in risky areas, let's just do the basics, I think that's kind of that settled Hearts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, one of the big things again for the improvement after the break, I thought, was with Peter Haring, and I think in the first half, I wasn't convinced at all. I thought he was quite sloppy on the ball. He inadvertently got Neuenhoff booked because he just gave away the ball for no reason, and then Neuenhoff had to like size down his man in order to stop a goal scoring opportunity. So yeah, I thought that Haring, I wasn't impressed with him much in the first half, but I thought as the game wore on, he actually started playing some nice stuff, and he played some really nice passes. Again, he was really important in the build up for and like releasing Alan Forrest, getting the ball out to him, getting him going. And I thought actually coming to the end of the game, he was looking really composed and a lot more like his old self. I think the other thing as well is Cochrane as well, particularly in the first half, really slack in possession.
Yeah,
just a couple of times where he put. I think there's one point he passes it behind him, thinking Kingsley's going to be there, and Kingsley's not there at all, and it's just all of a sudden Livia countering, or another point when again Hearts are building out from the back, it goes out to him at the left back, and then he takes a poor touch and it's out for a Livy throw. There was lots of little things like that constantly throughout the first half. I think that Neuenhoff was guilty of it. I think Cochrane was guilty of it. I think Haring was guilty of it. Civic was guilty of it. Basically the entire team. When you go through it, there are a lot of players who just really struggled to just get things under control. But then in the second half, as I said, there was that little bit more time at the back because Livy weren't quite as aggressive. That Hearts play their head up, look for a man, find them, and then when you do that, those little gaps open up. Now, obviously, again, I'm sure we'll speak about him in depth, but Forrest was absolutely incredible in this match in terms of it was so important. Getting the ball, driving it forward, finding men, and even you could see like someone like Vargas when in the first half he had a couple of chances where he was kind of released down the right, couldn't really find the space again, couldn't get the ball under control. Just kind of again, it looked like he was kind of stretching after it, struggling to get his foot on the ball and actually control what he was doing. It looked like he was always kind of lunging after it again. But then second half again, maybe it's the weather, maybe the rain dried off a little bit, but again, as the game wears on, he looks more and more confident. Obviously, getting the goal helps with that. But even aside from that, I just thought every time he got the ball in the second half, he looked like a different player from the one in the first. So I think part of that's maybe down to the weather, but I think part of it as well is that because that little extra second or two at the back, it just let Hearts play. And whereas the first half, they didn't have any opportunity to do that. But in the second, they did. And then that's when you started seeing those little gaps open up. Because there was, me and you said it like maybe 5-10 minutes into the match, like there was a lot of space in behind the Livy back line if you could hit it, if you could find it. Obviously, that's why Forrest and Vargas were in the team. They were there to exploit it. And, well, it didn't quite come off in the first half. In the second, it absolutely did.
So, that was... we'll go on to talk about Forrest now, but you saw in the first half where we talked about it was Kent and Halkett playing longer balls, and it's all well and good having playing them against behind the high line, but when you're kind of looping them, it gives them time to drop off, it gives them time to react, whereas you look at the second half, you've got Forrest playing a ball quickly in behind for Vargas, you've got Cochrane playing a ball quickly in behind for Forrest, and as Ben Odling says, Alan Forrest is prime Neymar on a plastic pitch, and he was in terms of his performances for Hearts. I think that was certainly up there with one of his best, or certainly most effective performances for Hearts. Wrote about a piece on one at the site today. There's been a marked improvement in him this season, Naismith, compared to last season. At the very best, he was okay as a squad player last season, but more realistic, you're looking poor to underwhelming for Forrest. This season, he's been much more involved, a much bigger player. I think Naismith talked about him being a big player for us afterwards, and said that he's really keen for him to sign a new contract. And you can understand with a performance like, it's not reactionary to a performance like that, but that performance was in keeping with his progress throughout the season, where he has been a very effective player for Hearts because he's been able to fill in different positions. Hearts fan replied to a tweet of mine yesterday and compared them to Park Ji-sung, and I just can't not see that now. And but you do need these type of players where in big games you can trust them. So that's what Al Ferguson did with Park Ji-sung. He trusted them in the biggest games, and you look at Alan Forrest, and Naismith needed someone to play up front with Shanklin at Celtic Park, someone who would stick to their task, be diligent, and that's exactly what Forrest does. And now you see he's play kind of right wing, left wing, right wing back, part of a front three, part of a front two. He's never going to be Hearts' consistently the best player. He's never going to be the star player. But what he is going to be is, I think, just an important squad member. And I talked about it, and you look at the different, if you look at the squad and the different groups that you want within that squad, you want players coming through from the academy. You want guys who are, you see as assets that if you develop, they're going to sell for decent money. And then you've got new arrivals coming in, who players like Vargas and Oda Tagawa, or other new signings who think, right, you may take time for them to settle. But then if you have this fourth group, a core group of squad, it's a core group of players who know what the Premiership is about, know what it takes to be a good Premiership player, experienced Premiership player. I would put Forrest in that group now, alongside the likes of Liam Boy, Stephen Kingsley, Craig Halkett, Barry Mackay.
No, I think that's totally fair. I mean, to be honest, when I think back on it now, if you take away Shanklin, it's quite a big thing, but okay, fine. Forrest has probably been Hearts' most consistent attacking player this season, like after Shanklin. I think everyone else has had spells where they've looked quite good, everyone else has spells where they've been not so good, but Forrest has been pretty consistent, and he has been delivering, and like you say, in a variety of different roles and positions across the pitch. So I think that's to his credit, and I think that though yesterday it was like the thing that the one that was made of. He obviously he was the match winner. He was. Naismith said it after the game. I know Martin, you pointed out in your piece today that Martindale said it was Shanklin. Like,
yeah,
no, it wasn't. It was the other guy here. United. It was Alan Forrest. It was absolutely.
Someone you worked with, David.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. So like, I think that he's like, he's. I just thought he was really intelligent the way he played yesterday. I think not only was he, carrying the ball and dribbling far at the park, which is great in terms of helping Hearts get up the pitch, but also his passing as well. I mean, I said this, I mentioned this to you earlier on today when I was looking through the stats from yesterday's match, and he had more open play passes in the final third than I think he had 16 in total in that match. The next highest Hearts player was 8, and someone else had 7. Which is like, so not only was he the guy dribbling and getting the ball at the park, he was also the guy a lot of time playing these passes that were getting people at the park as well. So I think that it was very much an all-action, kind of all-round performance from Forrest. Obviously, he won a penalty as well. That's he obviously should have had one the other night. So you look at it and you go, yeah, he's becoming more of an effective presence in the final third. There's just that one wee thing that lights him down is probably his shooting. I think because there was that chance, particularly right at the death. I think it was the 93rd minute or something like that when Denholm won a flick on. Forrest is through on goal after charging up down the left-hand side. And he takes a great first touch, gets into the box, shapes his body well, and then, to be fair, I think it's a good save from the goalkeeper who comes rushing out. But at the same time, it's hard to. He seems to get in those positions a lot where he's coming in from the left-hand side, looks in a great position, and he just can't quite get he just can't quite find a way past the goalie. I think that does seem to happen quite regularly. It seems to have happened a few times this season. But you think, well, everything else apart from that was great. The run was great. He gets the ball, that was great. The dribble was great. He shapes really well. It was all so close to being brilliant. And it's just that one wee thing. And you think that if he could add that one little last bit to his game, then yeah, he might well become one of these players who's starting week in, week out, in that kind of core group that you're talking about. But certainly, I think he's shown so far this season that he at the very least deserves a contract extension. I think he's obviously shown that he's a really valuable asset, and the fact that he can be so versatile, like you say, the fact that he's got that Parji Sung thing where if you tell him what to do, he'll just go and do it, and that's all you'll have to worry about. That's so valuable, and it's obviously something that managers regard really highly. So I don't think it'll be any. I'd be amazed if he didn't get a contract extension at this point. And there's not much more he could be doing at this stage. I don't think. I thought he was excellent on Saturday, excellent yesterday, and it's just that performance has been coming for a while. I think as well because he has been played in positions he's had to put in the hard yards, or he's doing stuff that maybe he doesn't really want to be doing if he's playing at right wing back, for instance. I'm sure he'd rather be at the other end of the park, but he still does it diligently and does it well, and that's. Those are the kind of players that you absolutely need in your squad if you're going to kick on, particularly if you're going to be playing in Europe as well.
Yeah, and I think there's players within the squad that can learn a lot from Forrest, definitely in terms of his attitude, his character, and his willingness, but also the attacking players could learn. Some attacking players could learn from, i.e., Yutaro Oda could learn a bit from Alan Forrest, and that he always looks to try and be positive. He always looks to be direct, and I think his decision making's pretty good at times, like when to do it and when to maybe keep the ball. But you've seen a couple of guys mention the comments there that he comes off the bench. I think like Ross County, but that not just Ross County. There's a couple of times he's came off the bench, especially at home, and suddenly Hearts have got he gives an injection of energy and directness, which is massive. That's why I've got a lot of time for Forrest, because it might, like I said, sometimes might not have that final bit of quality. Even Naismith talked about it in those big final moments, but he is kind of the mindset of what he wants to do as a forward player is kind of half the battle. And like I said, he's not going to be the team's star player, but I think he's just going to be an important squad member. You mentioned Vargas as well. I think now with the last couple of games, starting to see on a more consistent basis what we were kind of hoping for from Vargas from the very start. Just that a wee bit of magic, but the pace and the willingness to run in behind and run off players and provide a bit more of a goal threat. And because you look at the goal against County, the goal against Livingston. Also, he went close a couple of times. There's one really good one where he shuffled inside and he just didn't get the curl or swerve the right way for the shot, and it just angled past. But those moments, you're just starting to see a bit more of that, and which is encouraging.
No, definitely, because I think he's a player who I think the Hearts fans probably had quite high hopes for him when he came in. It's young Costa Rican attacker. Oh, that's always fun. That sounds great. And yeah, obviously we've touched on this before, but obviously he's found himself probably playing more than he would have planned to, with injuries elsewhere at the park. Guys like Oda being out injured earlier in the season, or Barry Mackay, for instance, he's probably found himself getting played more than he would have liked, and in positions he wasn't perhaps wanting to do. But you're right. I mean, the last couple of games he's looked really great when he's come on. Actually, I thought that both his goals the last couple of weeks, they were both really well taken goals, really confident goals as well, which is really nice to see for a player who, up until that, he only had one goal up until his goal against County, and then obviously he scored that fantastic finish. That was the County game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
yes, it's like this time of year, so many games.
So many games, yeah.
Smashing one after a while.
I think he's now our joint top goal scorer with own goal. Joint second top goal scorer with own goal.
That's right. Yeah, it was a glorious three. So that's quite a target, for everyone else to try and take off him. But no, yeah, that was the thing that I think really impressed me. It was his composure when he did get those big chances, and he had those big proper one-on-ones. He took them both really well, because I think we've seen it elsewhere where you touched on it just there, where he'll have chances where he's got a sighted goal from maybe the edge of the box, and he'll hit it. And he's had a few of those over the last few games, and like they've almost all of them kind of went narrowly over at the near post, and you kind of go, oh well, it's decent effort, it's a decent chance, fair enough, on you go. So those are the kind of ones where you kind of go, okay, it'd be nice if one or two of those started going in, but striker having a go again shows he's got that confidence. But the ones where it's been properly clear cut, here's a great chance for you, Kenneth, what can you do? He's taken them emphatically both times. So again, it's just, so now it seems to be, particularly I thought actually the County goal, that's the kind of goal that Giannelli was getting, and I think those are the kind of goals that Vargas could potentially get when Shanklin gets the flick on, and then all of a sudden Vargas has space to run into, and if he can just beat his man and get through on goal, then it's a relatively simple finish if you can keep your cool, which a lot of players can't, but he can. I mean, that's one of the things Naismith touched on as well after the game, was the fact that he's one of those players who is just naturally calm and composed in front of goal. Probably not entirely dissimilar to someone like Naismith, actually, come to think of it. So I think Naismith, perhaps he's a little bit of himself in that, and quite fancies that.
In terms of any other individuals, I don't think there's. I thought Aidan Denholm came off the bench. I thought he had a brilliant game as kind of just helping Hearts get Hearts over the line.
Joe, hang on, I've got some notes here. So hang on, so he was subbed on the 89th minute.
Yeah,
right? And there was 9 minutes of stoppage time. So okay, there's got a stoppage time to get played, but he was on the park, and that time, he at one point he was pressing at the park and managed to force Livy all the way back to their own goalkeeper just by pressing alone. That was pretty good. He set Forrest in through for a 1-on-1 with a brilliant wee flick on, again, kind of Shanklin-esque. That's what it reminded me of. He then stopped a Livy counter attack when Hearts had the ball really far up the park. He then stopped Livy getting going before he stopped Livy before he could even get going. And then the moment later on where he got the ball, ran straight into the corner, kept it for a wee bit, and then won a corner kick as well. And so it was like all in the space of like 8 minutes or something like 8-9 minutes. It's just brilliant. Again, because we see a lot of the time players come on last 5-10 minutes of games, and like, you'll know as well if you're doing like player ratings for a newspaper. It gets someone comes on the last couple of games, last few minutes, didn't touch the ball. Normally you get like an any or like a 6 or whatever the average is. Denholm played brilliantly. He was only on for 10 minutes. And that's one of those ones you'd have to give him a rating because like he was actually really important in getting Hearts over the line there. So yeah, I thought a brief cameo and fair play to him. He only got 10 minutes, but by God, he made the most of them.
Because I remember, because it obviously gets to that, it gets to the end of the game, and we're kind of writing up our instant analysis ready for like the full time. And every time I looked up, I was just like, Denham's doing something positive. Denham's doing something positive. That's good from Denham. That's good from Denham. And it did it kept Livingston. It made it difficult for Livingston because I think to stop them from playing out, because you look at Martindale ended up having fielded 4 strikers. 4 big strikers as well. So you're just thinking, oh no, this is going to be 9 minutes of hell of them just pumping it in the box, and you never know what could happen. It could drop anywhere, it could bounce around. So it was important to have someone that kind of prevented them there. So yeah, it was. I'm glad you had made all those notes of Denham's effectiveness.
I was just impressed with it. Again, it's not often I don't think someone comes on the 89th minute and makes that big an impact. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. So you're right. I mean, at that point, Livy had gone. It was basically 4-2-4. They had, like you say, you look for their front line. It's all big lads. So you think, just shell it in and see what happens. But to be honest, after Livy's goal, there was one decent chance actually. I thought when I can't remember who, I think it was maybe Shinnie had a kind of low cross come shot from the edge of the box, and it fell into the path of
Michael Nottingham.
Nottingham, that's right. The defender had come on, and it was one of those ones where it was kind of drilled into his feet. He didn't really know because he knew much what was going on. He kind of just tried to get something on it. Ended up going straight to Xander Clark. It's one of those ones. If he anticipates that a wee bit better, it's surely too all. But
yeah,
apart from that, Livy, they knocked at the door, and there was a wee bit of kitchen sink time. But I thought Hearts actually stood up to that pressure really well. And again, just having guys like Denham who's able to, and even like Oda as well. At one point, guys who when you do win the ball back, just quickly knock it up to them, get them in space, they can hold on to it, and they can treat the ball well. And I think that, I thought it was like you say, that last. I mean, so I think Livy equalised 10 minutes to go, so obviously it ended up being like that last 20 minutes. That could have been really nervy, but it wasn't really. I don't think. I thought that actually they handled it really well, and like you say, like Denham was absolutely at the heart of that.
But before we move on to kind of finish up with talking about the away performance and the now being the winter break, it'd be foolish not to talk about Lawrence Shanklin, just because it was a difficult, especially the first half was a difficult game from, as Liam mentioned or Cabeto Baggio mentioned when you were talking about Shanklin's header, was that he should have had a pen in the build-up to the header of the bar. Aye. I think we've probably all seen the pictures now of Mikey Devlin taking Shanklin's. It was like a dust up, and he's done the trick where he's rolled the guy's t-shirt up so he can't see to have a fight. It was incredible, but it was not the first time. It was kind of manhandled. It's a type of. These situations often happen with Shanklin because he backs in so well. He uses his body so well that opposition defenders are naturally going to have to kind of tug him and hand him a lot. So it almost went OTT with I think was it John Parks or Tom Parks, Livy centre back, where they had a wee coming together, but it seemed a frustrating first half for Shanklin in that sense, just with the team maybe not creating chances, but his finish for the win, what would prove to be the winning goal. Again, great work from Forrest, but the finish was just outstanding.
Yeah, what else can you say? I mean, to have that composure, that kind of finish in that kind of situation, just brilliant. Again, really nice work from Alan Forrest again. Is that we link up play back to like the Somerset Park days. I mean, I don't know what else you can say about Shanklin at this point, honestly. I mean, it's every week he's doing it. To be honest, I thought his performance the other day was really similar to County, to be honest, the County game, where the first half couldn't really get in the game much, wasn't seeing much of the ball, looked a bit frustrated out in the park. But then he gets his one chance and, he takes it absolutely sublimely. He couldn't have done any better. So there's another one of those ones where, again, I don't think when he looks back on it, even kind of similar to the derby as well, I think, where you look at it, the last few games, he's maybe not been as effective on the ball as he would have liked, but he's still scoring goals, and that's also whilst also missing penalties. So it's a bizarre, it's just an absolutely remarkable state of affairs where, I'd actually say I think the last few games he's maybe been a wee bit off the ball or slightly below par compared to the games before that in terms of just getting on the ball, getting involved. Again, he's still turning up these absolutely huge moments and still just getting those goals. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be. We've said it before. I'll say it again. It's going to be an incredibly long month, January.
Yeah,
it's. You do get the feeling that this is where Hearts' season kind of hinges. And I kind of back away from doing that and generally kind of saying like, oh, it's all down to this one guy. But to be honest, let's be honest. At this point, it is kind of down to, does he stay or does he go? That will determine the rest of the season.
But it's more as well as is what he's producing. It's just that it's the mindset he gives teammates, and we've got kind of Q&A with Peter Haring going up tonight, so it's embargo till half time. But he talks about that and what like Shanklin's influence is, and as Graham says, we wouldn't mind the window closing now to stop the daily Shanklin leaving rumours, and that's what it is. It's been. In my group, in my WhatsApp group chat with Heart supporting mates, it's like every day it's a screenshot from some Twitter rumor. It's like, oh, Everton want him, Celtic want him. Who was the one yesterday? Some nonsensical English team who are not anywhere near the size of Hearts were want him. So, it's. Yeah, as Liam's saying, it's been so long since we had a striker that had done striker things that we expect our strikers to run around, link up play, hold the ball up, etc. That we forget his only job is to score. And as
that's a fair point, actually. Yeah. As I say, I'm reluctant to criticise him because obviously he's still scoring fantastic goals every week. But that's a good point from Liam. That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's got to the point now, though, that you have such high standards for Shanklin just because you know how good a player is, how well-rounded a player is, and you can understand why he's being linked to loads of clubs. But as I say, every passing day, his valuation to Hearts goes up, and I still think his value to Hearts outstrips his value what probably other teams maybe value him. So, See if you offered me, we don't sign anyone but keep Shanklin, so we don't get another right back. And I was like, let's just take it. Let's just take it and move on.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the only like clubs I could think of that could actually realistically afford him and would pay it would be something like maybe someone mincing around like the bottom end of the Premier League, where it's just they've got more money than sense anyway, and splashing out £6-7 million and up there, that's fine. That's chump change anyway. But you're right. I think in general though, like it's hard. We're getting to that point now where actually the fee that Hearts would rightly demand for him is probably going to be more than what anyone's willing to pay. But let's hope that's the case anyway, because as you say, I think right now. I think most Hearts fans probably even take losing a couple of other players without bringing anyone in if it meant okay, but you've still got Shanklin come the end of it. I don't think there's. Yeah, it is getting to the point where it's just keep him. Doesn't matter whatever he wants to give him it.
Yeah. Just if it is a new deal, she should definitely be the club's highest paid player. Absolutely, no doubt about that. So moving on to we'll talk about the way form before finishing up. Again, it's something writing up for tomorrow. It's not really much to add, but 7 away wins in the first 20 league games of the season is a great record. And it's just one of those where you look at it. If only the home form is the usual home form, then you'd been absolutely scushing to third place as it is. But you look at the way the team have won away games. It's not been perfect all the time, but they've managed to do it in different kind of scenarios or situations or ways, which is great.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm just trying to think of it now. So does that mean Hearts have lost, is it 3 away games in the league all season?
4 away games, lost 4 and then lost 3 at home, but not drawn away.
There's Dundee away, St Mirren away, Rangers away.
And Aberdeen away.
Aberdeen, of course, yeah. So you look at that and go, that's not bad at all, is it? When you think of it, when you put it in that kind of context. But I mean, it's an absolutely huge improvement from not even just last season, but as I know you do, going back over the last 5-10 seasons and looking at it and seeing how it goes.
Last 32.
Because I think that's the last. I asked you this on the way out the ground yesterday, but if they get one more away win this season, which seems perfectly doable, then they'll have had as many this season as they have in the last previous 2 combined. Is that right?
So 9.
By one, is it?
9 top flight away wins in the last 2 seasons combined.
Right, so they've got a great chance of equaling that this season. You need a couple more, and they've done that, which is, I think, says quite a lot about the team's progress in that area. You're right, the home form that can swing back around. You go, okay, well, that should be a bit better, and of course it should be. But again, I think you look back. I think if you look at the season so far as a whole, you can see the home form has improved as time's gone on. There were a couple of hairy moments, particularly at the start of the season. That seems to those creases have hopefully been ironed out now, and I think it's the same as well. With the away form again, where it seems to be improving as time wears on. The bigger scalps, the bigger results, better wins, and you're right. It's just that thing of if there's just a slight improvement in home form, just getting it up to the levels where, because it's probably been slightly below average so far this season. In general.
Absolutely.
If it just hits just the sort of average level of the last few seasons, Hearts will stroll third in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the games coming up. Graham says two very winnable home games coming up, but you're looking as a Hearts fan, it's the away games that are more winnable than the home games, which is a very strange position to be in. But Aberdeen and Dundee, the next 2 home games after the break, which is massive. Because you can effectively you could potentially knock Aberdeen out the race for third with a win so early on. After the break, as long as you go and beat Dundee in the first home game after the break. So, massive opportunity there. In terms of the break, I think just going up to one of I think it was Ben Olin said, believes that the break has come at a perfect time because I could see glimpses where form was dropping a lot. I think the break has definitely come at the right time. Mm. I know some individual players would probably like to continue to play just because they found form or just got back to fitness. But you look at the squad situation as it is with Atkinson and Rawls away, and then you've got 5 other key players injured. So you've got Benny, Barry Mackay, Cammy Devlin. Who else am I missing? Liam Boyce and George Grant. That you just think it's after such a condensed period of time where Hearts have played 4 games, where a lot of teams due to call-offs haven't played as many games. It's a perfect time to have a break, reset, and then just go again following the winter break.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think particularly in the last couple of games, you can see that Hearts have looked a bit leggy. I think they've looked a bit. I think it was perfectly understandable. I mean, they've just played a quarter of the season in a month, so it's understandable. But I think that certainly, especially in midfield, I think because there's so few options there at the moment, and because the players who have been playing so much, I think this is the perfect time for a wee break for Hearts, just because, like you say, the squad's not as as well equipped as it could be, and with having played so many games in such a short space of time, I think there was maybe a bit of fatigue sitting in, a wee bit of rustiness sitting in. So I think that having this two and a bit weeks off to try and recharge the batteries, get things going again, is probably just exactly what's needed, I think. Yeah,
and we can certainly do with it just after the 4 games in a quick succession. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I'll answer Daniel's question about Bruce Anderson to Hearts rumours. Are they true? I've not heard any of these rumours. The ones I've heard is that he's going to either Kilmarnock or St Johnstone are the rumours I've heard. But not sure. But I would really like to replace Shanklin if you're left with Bruce Anderson. I think that would be ideal for the second half of the season. As good as a player as Bruce Anderson is. So, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, James. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and thank you very much for continuing to subscribe. We will be back on potentially with a video on Friday. If it's not James, that might be Liam Corbett. I'm going to reach out and see if he fancies a review of the season so far. And then during the winter break, we'll see how we are with videos, but we'll try and get at least a couple up every single week, depending on what happens, new signings, etc., etc. But until then, thank you very much and goodbye.